I help you, Sarah?
This block of flats is special, not in looks, for it's similar to others along the seafront here at Thorpe Bay on the Essex coast. Special because it offers rare opportunities to ordinary people whose hands, arms or legs just won't work normally. Perhaps rather sadly, we lump them all together and call them disabled people. But they're individuals. Their needs and desires are the same as ours. They expect and deserve as much from life as we do. It's called Dolphin Court, built and managed by John Groom's Association for the Disabled, and paid for entirely from donations and gifts, a splendid tribute to all who shared in it by their giving. Dolphin Court is a residential home with 15 self-contained independent flats, probably the best of its kind in the country. Personal care staff are readily available during the day, and an emergency call system operates around the clock. Some will live here for many years, and others will stay for just a year or two, while they develop skills and confidence to take the next step to adapted housing in a normal community. Sarah was the very first resident to move in. She spent most of her life in special boarding schools for the physically disabled, so this was a new experience for her. She was delighted to be able to choose a flat with her very own kitchen, bathroom and toilet and make it her home. One of the flats is used by disabled people for short-term care, to give their relatives a break. This flat is also set aside for assessment purposes. Disabled people come for a week or so to see for themselves what living independently is really all about. Here they can try out ideas and equipment, much of which is adjustable to meet their individual needs.
Nanette, let's start by setting this worktop up to suit the height, yes, and see whether you can get your wheelchair underneath. Try that. Okay. Yes. Can you reach the saucepan?
That's fine. Yes, that's lovely.
That's lovely.
Have you ever stopped to consider what it's like being confined to a wheelchair? You really have a problem if you can't get your chair into a toilet, manage steps or pass through doorways. Martin has Friedrich's ataxia, a progressive condition which affects his balance. His mother was able to care for him in an upstairs flat until just a short while ago, when he could no longer walk. Being wheelchair-bound, he was then trapped in his own environment.
Well, when I lived with my mother, I couldn't walk downstairs. And two chaps from the Queensway staff, they very kindly said, well, OK, we'll come along and we'll carry him downstairs in a wheelchair. Well, I put up with this for a while, and in the end, it was affecting my dignity, because I was being treated like a sack of potatoes. I thought, well, John Groom, please accept me, and that was that.
Through contact with the Essex Authority, arrangements were made with John Groom's for Martin to come and live at Dolphin Court.
So, Martin, life's going to be a lot easier for you when you come here to Dolphin Court.
Yes, definitely.
Our aim is for disabled people to experience independent living and then perhaps move on, using us as a form of stepping stone for the future. And I trust, Martin, that your stay with us will be a very happy one.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fletcher.
Great.
Each flat has a bed-sitting room which is spaciously designed with wide access to the kitchen and bathroom areas. In addition, there are special facilities to enable seriously disabled people to have a much greater degree of independence, such as this Parker-type bath. By releasing the side, they can transfer from the wheelchair into the bath unaided, and operating a hydraulic pump, tilt the whole bath into a horizontal position. A member of the staff can be present to lend a reassuring hand if it becomes necessary. Sarah has cerebral palsy. She's now 19 and has the same aspirations as other teenagers, to choose her own way of life. Coming to Dolphin Court is a new opportunity for her, and she now has to master what living independently really means.
This is the cheque. This is where you write how much money you're spending, in the box on that side of the pound sign. Up here, you write who you're paying the cheque to, the name of a shop or a friend or somebody. And underneath it, you write in words again how much money...
It will not be easy for Sarah to live entirely on her own, but with the kind of help she's now receiving, it should be possible.
You write the cheque, and then down the bottom, you sign it, Sarah Nunn.
It takes her a long time every morning just to dress and put on the caliper which supports her so that she can get into her wheelchair. Everything takes longer and is a struggle. But once in her wheelchair, she's really mobile. She can go shopping, spend her own money, make outside friends, and enjoy a fuller life. Some of the residents have chosen to go 2 or 3 times a week to an activities centre in the town. The bus in which they travel was donated by a group of local people who formed themselves into the Friends of Dolphin Court to support the work of John Grooms. It's absolutely devastating to be told in your mid-20s that you have multiple sclerosis. This is what happened to John. He was married at the time. Tragically, that marriage broke down. Life for some can be very, very cruel. Several years later, John met Jane at an MS centre. They fell in love and, despite the difficulties, decided to get married. John could walk a little then, but about 3 years ago, his condition worsened and he now has to use a wheelchair.
It is very hard work, being disabled, yes. I really had tried to get by without a wheelchair. I really tried. And it came to the point where I just said to myself, or a voice inside me said, that's enough, John. And it's not a case of giving up or anything like that. It was a case of facing reality. It robs you of everything that your body has. When Jane and I met, I loved that girl from the moment I see her. And I'm just grateful that she loves me also. And also I'm grateful that we were able to come to John Groom's at Southend, because we're very, very, very happy here and no complaints at all.
At lunchtime each day, a main meal is provided in the central dining room. This has become quite a social event for the residents. If, when preparing a meal in their own flats, they're unable to cope because of their disability, then an arrangement is made for staff to come and cook the meal with them. Many disabled people have to face up to the fact that their condition may not improve. In some cases, it may deteriorate. Being disabled does not exempt anyone from the joy or the sadness of life. Elizabeth and Terry had been wanting to get married for some time, although they both had severe disabilities. This meant that there were problems, especially with accommodation, before the marriage could be arranged. But at long last, the great day came. They were married and moved into Dolphin Court. Quite suddenly, without very much warning, Terry had to face the terrible ordeal of losing his dear wife. Elizabeth died just 6 months after their wedding. Not a long time for them to be together, but a time when they were able to fulfill some of their longings and ambitions. Shortly before she died, Elizabeth wrote an article about Dolphin Court expressing her appreciation. She called it Heaven on Earth. And this is part of what she said. "We are in the care of the most wonderful Christian staff who are so kind. Nothing is ever too much trouble for them. We have a lovely view from our flat and a balcony with a bird table and space to grow flowers." This has been a hard and sad time for Terry. Now he's picking up the threads of life once more. Wendy is clever with her hands and a talented artist, but she has rheumatoid arthritis, which affects the joints and is very painful. One of her legs has been permanently stiffened to overcome further stress. She's encouraged to exercise a little each day, but the sensation, she says, is like walking on broken glass. Nonetheless, she's extremely cheerful and can manage to do most things for herself in the flat, although it always takes a great deal of effort. Residents do their own shopping, and apart from lunchtimes, prepare and cook their own meals. There's nothing special about that, but if your arms and legs don't coordinate, there is difficulty, perhaps pain. And above all, it takes so much time even to prepare quite a simple meal. Many people see Dolphin Court as an example for future care establishments, because so much emphasis has been placed on dignity, independence and quality of life for those who live here. It means much to couples like Hugh and Carol, who've been married for 11 years. In spite of both having a spastic condition, they can still enjoy life together so long as there's someone near at hand to help them at the right moment. Hugh has little, in fact practically no control over his upper limbs, but can achieve astonishing things using his feet. He operates a computer, keeping a data record for a local video film company. He's designed his own eating aid to use in the privacy of his flat. There are limitations in residential care, but Hugh says that Dolphin Court provides for Carol and himself both physically and emotionally, and he's glad that staff are available when needed. Carol and her friends have shared their lives with us. They've been honest about themselves, the pain, the suffering, and their difficulties. No one pretends it's easy to have a major disability, but the right environment and facilities can make a world of difference. The generosity of many people has helped John Groom's provide a better life for those who live here. But there are so many disabled people who need this kind of home. Other projects are already planned and will be developed as soon as money is available. Will you support John Groom's in their work and be one of those to say, yes, I will help people like Sarah? Hello. When I used to read the news on BBC television, a late item would often be handed to me while we were on the air. Sarah's with me today, and she's asked me to read a special bulletin that John Groom's have issued about an important new project. Thank you, Sarah. let's tell them all about it, shall we? Because Dolphin Court in Thorpe Bay, Southend, has been such a remarkable success, John Grooms is building a similar project in Norwich. It'll provide excellent accommodation for about 24 severely disabled people. A site has been purchased, but the project is expected to cost about £1.5 million, and this has to be raised through voluntary sources. Please, will you help? Well, there you are, Sarah. Shall we ask people to be as generous as they can? Thank you. With your help, more people like Sarah can live a happier and more fulfilled way of life. Thank you for anything you can do.